Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Forest. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. How are you tonight, Hannah?
I'm doing well, and how are you?
Yeah, feeling better now?
Yeah,
I
feeling
guess.
better.
Good that you're able to join me. Thank you as always.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Inside the Forest this week. We've got a few things to go over. We're obviously on the Bad Batch review kick right now because we're watching those every week. But starting next week, we've got the Mandalorian back for season 3. And Hannah and I are going to kind of just share some thoughts we have on that. Of course, we'll talk about Bad Batch episode 10, Retrieval, and then a lot of comics coming out with some and a little bit of news. So right before we get into that, of course, thanks to our patrons as always. InsideTheForce.com is a new site we just put together, and if you want to interest and see all of our links on there and check out our YouTube channel and whatnot, but there's a Patreon link there if you want to go there. We've got some patrons that we really, really appreciate. And one side note, which is a little thing that I've been doing, and I've been a little bit behind on some content here because I've been trying to figure out a way to get stuff out quicker. So a little inside baseball here. I've been using Avid as my editing software. And I will say even though the software itself is really good and I've used it my entire career, it does take a while to import things and render things. So I've actually dived into Premiere lately and kind of started training on that a little bit. And I spent a lot of time this week in the evenings going through that. And it actually is a lot quicker.
Really?
So, yes. So I am going to be starting to do all of our shows and our contents. And I'm going to I promise I'm going to actually be able to put a lot more like clips and stuff out there. So I'm getting a workflow down right now. So I think I'm going to work on that this weekend. So I think I'm going to be able to crank a lot more stuff out. And I feel really good about it because but it's come a long way because now Premiere and Avid, they're pretty much they kind of look the same almost. I mean, I even have my windows kind of set up the same way, and it's really similar. So I knew that. I just never thought that there was these different speed techniques through there that I didn't realize. And I was talking to Yelton this morning a little bit, one of our editors that we work with, and because he's a real Premiere guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, giving me some tips and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, okay, yeah, that actually works out a lot. Anyway, long story short, that's what I've been kind of working on over the past few weeks. And it's really going to change some of this content. So I'm going to be posting a lot more, especially on Patreon with some extra stuff. So, because it does take a little while before I felt like, God, man, I want to get just some of these clips out, but it just took so long to get stuff done. And now I feel like it's going to be a lot faster. So anyway, just thought I'd share that, whatever.
Awesome.
So again, thank you to our patrons, as always, especially our master patrons, for support. It goes a long, long way, trust me. So news-wise, a couple things, Hannah, wanted to share with everybody. One tidbit that came out that I don't think was necessarily intentional.
Uh-oh.
But it is making its rounds on the social platforms now. So, there's all this news that we've been mentioning the past few weeks about Star Wars Celebration that's happening in Europe here coming up in April. Well, in an article that the StarWars.com team put out there, goes on and reads like this. There's no fan event quite like Star Wars Celebration. Devoted solely to the galaxy far, far away and produced by Lucasfilm, it's a way for fans to come together and let their love of the saga shine. With tons to do and and see at Celebration, there's no reason. There's no one reason to go. Mm-hmm. But if you've yet to make the journey, and with Star Wars Celebration Europe coming April 7th through the 9th in London, here are 5 reasons you may want to take the plunge. So it's the article is 5 reasons to go to Star Wars Celebration for the first time.
All right.
But in parentheses after take the plunge, it says, if you can't join us this year, with the next celebration taking place in 2025, you'll have plenty of time to work on your cosplay, refine your Wookiee roar, and sharpen your lightsaber skills. So they basically revealed that the next celebration is in 2025 without saying it.
Oops.
Yeah. So all these people are posting like this article saying like, wait a minute, they just revealed, because usually every other time they don't reveal the next celebration until the end at the last day of the celebration.
Gotcha.
They put the logo up for we'll see you in 2025 or 2020. But it's been every year for a little while now since the pandemic, since it came back in a way. It was 2022 and then 2023. And then the expectation was that it was going to be every year from now on, but not always in the States every year. It's going to,
right,
jump around. But it looks like it's not going to be in 2024 unless, well, no, it's got to be, it's 2025. 2025 is the next one. So anybody thinking that maybe they can't go to Europe and they're going to go to Celebration next year, unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Which is I'm actually kind of happy about this, to be honest, because it gives me another year just to save up money and then and then go, because I want to go. I still want to try next year. I still want to try Galactic Star Cruiser possibly.
Oh,
so. What, do you have any desire to do that?
I don't know. I mean, part of me is like, it's a Disney experience. You should do it to experience it.
And Star Wars experience.
And it's a Star Wars. But like all the reviews I'm seeing on it, I'm like, maybe if the price went down.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, I don't care about the reviews. Because anything Star Wars, I'll experience it myself. Right. But the price is what's getting me.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if the reviews were all glowing reviews, mm-hmm. and if they were like, it was worth every dime we spent.
Right.
Then I'd be like, true. Okay, then I'll definitely save my nickels and dimes to pay it. But with the reviews as they are, it's like, I can't justify throwing $2,000 at a 2-day experience.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I get that. So I'm with you because, well, for me, like, of course, now my kids see it and they want to go.
Right. So for you, it would be even more. For me, it's just my husband and I.
Right.
So
yeah, I think mine's minimum like $6,000.
I was about to say it has to be at least $6,000.
Yeah.
$6,000. I don't remember what it is for 2 people, but it's like, I think I could probably do an all-exclusive resort in Cancun for half that price for 3 days.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Not that I would recommend that.
Yeah,
I'm just giving a price point.
I'm just, and I do, side note with Star Cruiser, like, I think I worry too, because I think if this continues, like the price being what it is and the reviews being what it is, they've got to change something about it.
They have to. I mean, honestly, I feel like, and I mean, I know nothing, and I'm sure you know nothing. We don't know what stories they have planned out, what are the different interactions, but I almost wonder if you turn it to a day experience.
Yeah, we've talked about that, yes.
Yeah, like we've talked about it. I almost wonder if that's how you have to change it. And if people want to stay the night, then they get like an extra experience or something like that. I don't know, but something does have to change. Either the prices have to come down, or they change the actual experience itself.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I agree. So anyway, if I decide to do that, I was thinking about doing that next year. So then obviously I wouldn't, unless there was a celebration next year, then I would actually go to Celebration, because to me, that's the experience of that is just incredible. And we're going to get you to go to Celebration also, because you've got experience Star Wars Celebration.
I would love to.
It is ridiculous.
Well, if they're skipping a year, does that mean that they have a lot of announcements coming?
So that's a very good point, because I think what's going to happen is, we talked about it last week. Last week, the rumor going around was that there's going to be a movie announcement there, right?
Yes.
Well, shortly after we did our show, I think it was over the weekend, the rumor changed to not only they're announcing a movie, they're announcing a slate of movies.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So kind of like Marvel, where they're kind of telling us what the plan's going to be the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
So with that, I think the next movie what they're going to announce is that the next movie they're working on is going to be released December of 2025. And that is why Celebration is going to be in 2025. So they have content from that and from what other movies they're going to be working on. I don't think there's going to be much to announce next year besides the shows that we already know that are coming out next year, like Andor season 2 and Acolyte, and maybe another season of Bad Batch, stuff like that. So that is why I think they are skipping a year. And I also think that the one thing that I think they've done a good job avoiding, even though last year it happened, it was like the first year, usually D23 and Celebration are on the same year. And D23 is next year as well.
Okay, well then there you go.
Right. So I think it makes sense that they're going to do D23 next year again in Anaheim. And then 2025 they'll do Celebration. But a lot of the question is where is Celebration going to be?
Right.
I hope it's in Orlando. This time.
That would be amazing.
Yes, because it hasn't been there in a long time. I think it's a great place for it, and it's easier for us to get there anyway.
Yeah, it is a lot easier.
Yeah. So anyway, that Celebration, of course, April is obviously the hype for this next Celebration is increasing because of these announcements coming. I think we know a lot of what's happening with Disney Plus in these next series. So the movie stuff is really what I think, and games. I think gaming is a lot of people's excitement too. Like, when are we going to start hearing some more about these games apparently in the works?
Well, so, maybe this is when we're going to hear about it.
I think we are. Yeah. Okay. Another kind of announcement that I actually just saw tonight.
Oh.
In the comic world. So I saw a Instagram post on Marvel, and it says a new crossover comes to Marvel's Star Wars comics with a threat no one will see coming. And it is crossover between Dr. Aphra, Star Wars, Vader, and bounty hunters.
Okay.
And the tagline here on the graphic says, "First, it comes for the metal." That's it. That's all it says. Summer 2023. It just got announced. Literally, this was 10 hours ago. So I have no idea what that means.
It's a lightning monster.
A lightning monster. Okay. Yeah.
I half jokingly say, but that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, it comes for metal first.
Yes. It says first it comes for the metal.
Okay.
Let me see. There's an article right here. It says Marvel has teased a new crossover. The event is slated to begin this summer after the conclusion of Charles Soule ongoing Kira saga, Hidden Empire. The first clue of the crossover begins with the tagline of Marvel's announcement. First, it comes for the metal. Refers to a line in the Star Wars Revelations one-shot, okay, which I haven't read yet, which saw the Eye of Webbish Bog summon Darth Vader to share some visions of the future. Star Wars Splash Page has dug up the page in which the line occurs. Okay. Interesting.
Huh.
So the main goal of Revelations was to preview what is on the horizon for Star Wars comics this year. Most of the significant content from this issue is already coming true, but one thing we haven't seen is Luke's confrontation with the reborn Ajax Sigma, an assassin droid that led the revolution once upon a time. After getting cut down by Jedi of the High Republic, its neutral core lived on and was passed down. It eventually ended up in the hands of Han Solo and Chewbacca, who buried it, presumably never to be seen again. Okay. So.
Okay.
So, this is unfortunate for me and us because we're kind of behind on the comics, right?
Yes.
So I am going to I'm trying to make a huge attempt to get caught up. But further hints that support the crossover could revolve around Ajax is that its core has just returned in the latest issue of Han Solo and Chewbacca, while the duo was on a job for Jabba the Hutt. Okay, so Ajax Sigma apparently is what's involved in this, and it is a droid now. An assassin droid.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so there's your next big crossover coming between these 4 ongoing series of comics. Like I said, Darth Vader, Dr. Aphra, Star Wars, and Bounty Hunters. Which is crazy that these 4 comics are still going. They've been going for a long time. I was like issue, about to mention the issues, but yeah, Bounty Hunter. I'm surprised Bounty Hunters has been going on as long as it has.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We read, I think, 1 issue of Bounty Hunters.
We haven't. I think we read it, but we haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah. And it's not. I don't know. For me, it's not incredibly memorable.
No.
Compared to other ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very interested for us to eventually, I guess, dive into that to learn more about.
Yes.
Why and how it's lasted this long.
Correct. I'm very curious. Yes. Dr. Aphra makes sense because she's really good.
Yes.
But the Bounty Hunter thing, I thought it was only going to be like a 6-issue run or something like that. And
yeah. I think we talked about that.
Yes, but it has survived. It has survived. Okay, so, and just before I talk about releases, just a reminder, Star Wars Visions, the second chapter there, or volume 2 comes out May the 4th. So look for that still coming.
Love it.
Yeah. So, novels coming out again, Star Wars Battle Scars comes out, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, which is your prequel novel to the game. Star Wars The High Republic Cataclysm, April 4th. High Republic Path of Vengeance, May 2nd. And Inquisitor Rise of the Red Blade, July 18th. Okay, so here's your big comic slate coming here in March. So this coming February 22nd, your last week in February here, you got Dr. Aphra 29 and Yoda number 4. But then a week later on March 1st, you've got Star Wars 32, you got Mandalorian number 8, you got Han Solo and Chewbacca number 10, you got Hidden Empire number 4, and the High Republic, The Blade number 3. Then March 8th, you've got Bounty Hunters 32, that's up to. High Republic number 6, Sana Staros number 2. March 15th, you got Yoda number 5. The 22nd, you got Darth Vader 32. And then at the end of the month, you got High Republic number 7 and The Blade number 4. So lots of comics on the shelves in March.
Yes.
Lots to catch up to, Hannah. Lots.
I feel like we keep getting further and further behind.
I have all these. Yeah. Well, we could always catch up. Talk about them on Beyond the Saga whenever if we're reading them. But
yeah,
we want to kind of get figure out what we're going to focus on and then do it. So. Okay, let's talk about the Bad Batch.
Yes,
number 10. So So episode 10 is what has kind of become 9 and 10 has become a two-parter, basically. So this is the second part, kind of the resolution of what happened last episode, which is the guys got their ship stolen. They were in this mine trying to acquire this new substance that we've been introduced called Ipsium.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're stranded in a deserted village or settlement, and they had no food. They got to figure out what they're going to do. Sid's not helping. She's not coming. So now we get into episode 10 here, Retrieval, which clearly means that they're going to try to retrieve their ship.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. Episode 10, Retrieval. Hannah, what did you think? I know both of us weren't really all that impressed with last week's episode. What do you think about this one? Wasn't that your response last week?
It was. I think you added an M in front of it.
I did. I said meh.
And I think that's actually what you texted me when I asked you what you thought of it. I think you texted me meh.
I did.
Like, oh my gosh. It was just I liked it a little more than the last episode. At least it seemed a little more centered on a theme and a story and an idea. But it was very predictable. And I still don't know what the purpose of these episodes are in the grander scheme of things. I think we talked about this last week. I feel like if the entire season 2 of Bad Batch was set up as like an anthology, then it would make a little more sense. But it'll be very interesting to see how they wrap all of this up. I mean, that was my takeaway watching it. I was like, oh, another story about a group that's being taken advantage by a leader. And then they try to help. And then they betray the help. And then they stand up for the help. And they overthrow the leader. Haven't seen that one before a million times. So like that's I am at the point now where I'm just like, what is the point of all of this? We've had a couple of fantastic episodes whenever we saw what the Empire was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're not doing that. So anyway, that's my takeaway. I'm starting to get a little frustrated. I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to get a little frustrated here. What's your takeaway from the episode?
Well, I going back to what you just said, which is what's the point of this, right? The only thing I could take from these 2 episodes is literally probably one of the last lines in this episode, which is our boy Benny that we meet that stole the ship. I don't know if you remember, but he says, "Hey, if you guys need a thief, let me know." That's the only thing I can think of that at some point are our guys going to need a thief, and now we know why they went and picked up Benny to be a thief for them. To be honest, that's like the only thing I can think of.
The only other thing I can think of is that like little conversation that Omega and Tech had where she was like, there are a lot of groups out here like that are like this, a lot of people being taken advantage of, and Tech's like, well, there are a lot of groups like us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, which we've heard before, I think, right?
Right. So I like your takeaway of maybe we see Benny again.
Yeah, and I think back to, I think it was Rebels, maybe. I'm trying to think of Rebel. I felt like Rebels had done this before too, where we met some random characters, and then we're like, okay, that was weird, and then later on we see them again, and
okay.
So it's like this could be now again. I wouldn't be surprised if we never see them again ever. But if we do, at least we know why.
Right.
But did you need 2 episodes to do this? Probably not.
I don't think you did. I mean, the only other thing I can think of is in the last episode, they were trying to digest so many themes happening at once.
Mm-hmm.
They just thought, oh, this will be the perfect episode for us to, because things come to surface and boil to the surface when there's tension. And, there's tension if there's a storm coming and someone stole your ship and you're trying to figure out a way off the planet.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't. Once again, I would have loved to have sat in the writer's room just to hear the thought process of this entire season. And I'm really, really hoping that at the end we will have a better understanding of what was going on. Or maybe we won't.
Yeah, again, does I'm trying to think of other underlying themes in this episode that maybe would carry on. Like I started thinking, okay, well, maybe we're introduced to this Ipsium material because that's going to be important for something. But what could it be important for? I mean, they don't even know. It's not really. It's a mine thing. They make money from selling it, I guess. So it doesn't seem like it's this big rarity that big of a rarity.
Right.
In fact, Mako, the boss guy here, was the one he was lying to them, thinking there wasn't that much, but there is actually a lot. And we saw our Bad Batch people fall into a pool that looked like it was covered in Ipsium. I mean, there's plenty of Ipsium on this planet, it seems like.
Yeah.
So, what it's used for, we don't know yet. They haven't put that out anywhere or on the databanks or anything yet. But I wonder, I wonder if that is something, but I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be? At first I was thinking, well, maybe this Mako guy knows somebody, but then he's dead, so his story's done.
Yeah. I thought maybe he was doing something for Sidious, because we read in the books, Palpatine Sidious, he has his hands in the crime world as well. He's controlling everything. So I was at least hoping at the end we would see maybe a transmission to or from Chancellor Palpatine, or maybe from, or maybe not even him, but maybe his advisor, maybe somebody high up in the Empire.
Yeah.
And then that's how they find out the Bad Batch is still alive and out there.
Yeah, that would make sense too, because the Empire. I guess they've probably started by now. The Empire is stripping planets and.
Yeah. So what if this was, they were like, totally. We already got a guy in place who's already got control over the people. Let's just, puff up his ego. He's clearly greedy. Mm-hmm. Let's just do that and make him feel like he's running everything while we're actually that would have been enough, I feel. Yeah.
That would have made a lot more sense for sure. Because you would have, again, you're just giving meaning to really what the situations are, that are going around with these guys.
And the stakes would be higher then. All of a sudden, the Bad Batch realizes, we got to. Well, I guess we can't really help people because we don't know where the Empire has their hands in which situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just something to up the stakes.
Agreed. Yeah, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things to say.
I was about to say, I don't even know if there's much more to say on this episode, very much like last week. Last week, we didn't really have a lot to say either.
No. Yeah, the two-parter, and I mean, even cinematography-wise, it wasn't that even great looking to look at either.
It felt like for me, the least cinematic animation series to me is Rebels. And I think it's because Rebels feels very 2D in its even though it's a 3D animation, the camera movement feels very 2D. While in Clone Wars, it feels very 3D. And we get a lot of that in season 1 of Bad Batch. But I feel like we're slipping into 2D in season 2. So it's not as dynamic as you would hope.
Right. Yeah, I could see that for sure. So, see, episode 10, Retrieval. The guys get their ship back, and of course we're moving on. And to be honest, we'll move on to the next episode, and probably that's the thing, is like almost nothing that has happened these past 2 episodes has any impact on them, going forward into the next episode, which is called, I believe it's called Metamorphosis.
So something about change.
Metamorphosis, yep.
Well, maybe they'll change the current plot of this season.
Yeah, I think they're listening.
I hope they are.
So we'll see. But episode 11, which is going to have some competition because The Mandalorian also debuts.
Please be better. Please.
I mean, is it safe to say, and I hate to say this because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, obviously, but I could not probably imagine one person watching The Bad Batch before they watched Mandalorian next week.
No. I don't, like, Zach is feeling my husband's feeling very much the same effects that he felt with Marvel with Star Wars, and that they just keep, so he's like, I got to pick and choose what I consume. I straight up told him season 2 of Bad Batch is one of the lowest on your priority list right now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Mandalorian season 3 is higher. And I agree with you. I think it's safe to say everyone's going to dive into the Mandalorian first before Bad Batch.
I know I am.
Oh, same.
I mean,
same.
And I know my daughter, who we get up early on Wednesdays to watch before I take her to school. She's going to have to choose, and I know which one she's going to choose.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, so.
She's smart. Of course she's going to pick Mandalorian.
Absolutely. So now have you finished the Book of Boba Fett?
No. But I know what happens. Like,
yeah, but you have to watch the Mandalorian parts anyway, at least.
All right, that's what I'll do. I'll at least watch the Mandalorian.
Which section. Is it episode? I think it's episodes 5 and 6, right?
Okay, I'll watch them before Wednesday.
Yes, you have to watch them. It is like, it's crucial, I feel like.
Okay.
Let me make sure that's. I'm looking at it right here. Let's see. Book of Boba Fett.
But yes, I'm very much looking forward to watching Pedro Pascal be a father to an orphan and protect him across dangerous lands.
Yeah, so chapter 5 and 6 are pretty much Mandalorian.
All right, so I'll watch 5 and 6.
And then 7, if you just want to watch the end, Mando and Boba Fett come back together. So,
right.
Because apparently it's rumored. I don't think it's been fully confirmed, but it's rumored. It seems like Boba Fett is showing up in season 3 of Mandalorian again.
It wouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah, because if you watch the end of Book of Boba Fett, you kind of understand that. So I may do the same. I'm probably going to rewatch those last 3 before Wednesday just to get caught up.
Sounds like
refresh my memory. Yeah. All right, so let's kind of segue into that right now. So, Mandalorian season 3 coming out Wednesday, March 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's been a long time since season 2. As if everybody does remember, season 2 was really about getting Grogu to the Jedi, basically, right? His people that was characterized. But you also had this lingering threat, which was Moff Gideon trying to capture Grogu for experimental purposes, right? So the big reveals that we got in season 2, Ahsoka in live action, and then of course the return of Luke Skywalker, who then therefore took Grogu to train. And then, as I just said, in Book of Boba Fett, which is basically Mandalorian 2.5.
Yeah.
We get the reunion of Grogu and Mando, because again, and I think we mentioned this, if you had not ever seen Book of Boba Fett or even knows what happens, you would be a little surprised seeing the trailers of this. Like, wait a minute,
right?
What happened to Luke Skywalker?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's explained in the Book of Boba Fett that, and hopefully this isn't spoilers. I'm sure everybody's seen this,
come on. At this point, if you haven't watched it and I'm talking like about myself too, then you can't be mad at spoilers at this point.
Exactly. So Book of Boba Fett, Grogu has to make a choice between being trained by Luke. I mean, he was even offered Yoda's lightsaber. Mm-hmm. Or being, the clan with Din Djarin. Obviously, he chooses Din Djarin. And he even calms a Rancor in the Book of Boba Fett. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Those parts are really neat. I think that, honestly, in my opinion, somewhat saved the Book of Boba Fett, because it was good, but it wasn't great. Mm. Seeing like his backstory and how he got out of Sarlacc and how he became whole again with the Sand People and things like that. Mm-hmm. A lot, pretty brilliant stuff there. But it was kind of going downhill a little bit, and all of a sudden, Mandalorian shows up in 2 episodes where we don't even see Boba Fett. Like, he's not even in it. His own show. So it becomes the Mandalorian again and Grogu. So that's where we are. Now it's season 3. It's set up in the Book of Boba Fett that the armorer and his clan know that he has taken off his mask. So now he has to kind of repent, in a sense, or be forgiven for his sin. And he has to go to Mandalore to do this. But as we know, Mandalore was destroyed. So how does all that work? I don't know. That's what we're going to find out. Both you and I, Hannah, talked a little bit about this, about how, we're not sure where they're taking this. It just seems like there's a bunch of Mandalorians that are going to show up on the show now. So it's not just called The Mandalorian. It's like Mandalorians. But before we kind of speculate a little bit, I mean, have you thought about personally just where you would like this to go? Like, what do you want out of this show going forward in these next few seasons? Because it sounds like they're doing. I just read an article too that Favreau has season 4 already written, so they're obviously going to be doing season 4, I think. And he also mentioned how the MCU has actually inspired him and Filoni to. That's why they're making these kind of connected shows like Ahsoka. Skeleton Crew takes place during this time. Book of Boba Fett apparently is in development for a season 2. So it's like you're going to have like 4 or 5 shows here that are kind of connected to each other.
Right.
I don't know what that means for the bigger picture, but I kind of have some thoughts what I want to see. But I don't know if you've thought about kind of where you want this pair to go.
Honestly, I haven't thought about it. And I think the reason why I haven't thought about it is because, like, I haven't finished Book of Boba Fett, so I don't have that, even though I know what happened, I don't have that spark of like, oh, what's going to happen next? Because I didn't see it. I only heard it. So I think that'll probably change my opinion right now. But honestly, at the end of Mandalorian season 2, I was very happy with where the story ended. That could have been it for me. And in my mind, I kind of wrote that off. Like, that was the ending. That's how it ended. Let's move on. So the fact that you're now saying there's going to be a season 4 is Like, what? So I can't answer that question because I have not thought about it at all. But I'd love to hear your thoughts and where you think it's going to go.
Yeah, and I was kind of like you, to be honest. I was at the end of season 2. I was okay. I thought, I did have a thought that they were going to do a season 3 because I think they had a lingering question still with the Darksaber and how that was going to be resolved. But I did think that was the end of Grogu's story. I thought, okay, well, he's going off with Luke, and we'll get that story in a book or a comic or something. But I would have probably bet against the fact of him coming back on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. So now that they are back, I still think there has to be. I still think there needs to be a resolution with the Darksaber, and with Bo-Katan, and also I kind of where I think I need it to go is I still think there's big questions on why are there so many different types of Mandalorians. Why are some okay with taking their helmets off? And why are some against taking their helmets off? And who's the right one? Like, which one started that? Why don't they get along now? Because even in the basically the face of persecution now from the Empire, but the Empire no longer exists right now. So it's like the New Republic is now in charge. It's been 5 years or so. What are they doing to help Mandalore? Or is there a new world out there for them? How many are even left? We don't even really know how many are even left. I think there's a lot of questions about the Mandalorian that at least I think they need to answer, and I hope that's where they go. For a longest time, I think in the first season, I thought, well, this is just going to be, I knew there would be a deeper meaning at some point, but I didn't think it would be this. I thought, okay, yeah, we're going to see a guy going around that's a bounty hunter, but then he's going to start being a good guy and, kind of being that Bruce Banner guy that walks around and saves city to, goes around and say, he's the bad guy, that's the good guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
But obviously when we saw Grogu for the first time, I was like, everything changed. So that's where I think they're going to go. And that's where I think they should go. I feel like it's going to be way more centric around the Mandalorian culture now, which I think was the whole intent, to be honest, because Filoni and Favreau just love the Mandalorians. They love the whole storylines. They love the mystery of it right now because that's what they're telling us, because there wasn't really a lot of information about them. I mean, whatever has come up has really been from them. And George started it a little bit in the Clone Wars, but Dave took off with it a lot more in Rebels. And then, of course, now we're seeing it with this show. So, that's kind of where I think, again, where Grogu falls in all this, I'm not actually sure. He's obviously not going to become a Jedi. I don't know. I don't know what that significance is.
Maybe it'll be like if Mando is a Disney princess, Grogu's his animal companion.
That's good. That's nice.
I mean, that could be it. I completely agree with you, though. I think the way that they are going to go with this is more about Mandalorian culture and history, and I absolutely love that. I mean, if you play, right now I'm in the middle of playing Knights of the Old Republic 2, and there's a lot about Mandalorian culture and Mandalorian history, and even the Mandalorian War and all of that. I mean, there's a lot, but now I guess it's technically not canon, which stinks, because literally as I play through the game, I'm like, hey, Disney, look, a great story, a great scenario, great environment. Why aren't you exploring this?
Yes.
So it would be really cool if there are things that pop up in the season where I'm like, hey, that was in KOTOR 2. But yeah, so canon wise, we don't know a lot, and it would be great to know more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think that this will happen. You know, I mean, it looks like it's been 8 episodes per season, so there's no reason to think that there won't be 8 episodes this season. I think they've already actually said that. So I think in season 3 it's going to be Mandalore and Mandalorian centric, and I think season 4 will be something else. I think whatever he's got planned, I think, and I think they're going to cross paths again. It sounds like with Ahsoka or that whole thing could very well be he joins the fight against Thrawn or whatever that happens.
Was just about to say season 4 would probably be more in the Thrawn Ahsoka direction.
Right. Yeah. I think so too.
Maybe he rises a whole army of Mandalorians against Thrawn.
I think that's very possible. I think that is very possible. I mean, that is, again, that's one of the things I'm just really intrigued about is why, you know, with them being such an endangered species almost. It's like, why aren't they banding together yet? Why are they always fighting each other? And why don't they have the same type of beliefs if they're all claim to be Mandalorians? You know,
I think a huge part of that is probably going to be pride.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so. Because, you know, people don't like to change. People like to keep things the way they are, and other people are all up for change. I mean, like, I don't think this is the best example in the world, but the one thing I can think of is with regards to Christianity, we see it throughout the years break off into different denominations, and the denominations are not fans of each other either.
Yeah. That's a good analogy, yeah.
Some are nicer than others, but some of them have very polarizing views.
Yeah.
On different aspects of faith. So
I also think one of the things is, and it's very much religion based too, is that it seems like the two that we've seen the differences of are the Bo-Katans that are from Mandalore, and then the foundlings that aren't from Mandalore. Right. So, and we don't know, we haven't been told fully if the armor is actually from Mandalore, but I would guess she's probably not. So I think there's that conflict of belief there because,
absolutely.
Right. Because Bo-Katan is from Mandalore, and it seems like that tradition has always been that they remove their helmets and whatnot. And these foundlings, for some reason, believe that to be a Mandalorian, you do not take your helmet off. So,
and that could have sprouted from, there was a group on Mandalore that believed that you shouldn't take your helmets off. So they went off and then they started their own group based on people that have never been there. So they wouldn't know any better.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it seems like for sure. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So,
but if that means we're getting more of Pedro's face, like he's finally convinced, I can take it off.
Yeah.
Then take his helmet off. Sorry. That could be out of context. Really, really weird.
Yeah.
Sorry. Take his helmet off. Because he's a great actor. And
no, you have to see his face. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's what that means, that would be pretty great too.
Are you watching The Last of Us by a chance?
Oh, heck yes, I am.
Yeah.
I literally now, whenever we sit down to watch it, I just have a box of tissues right in my lap ready to go.
Did you know Martin was in the last episode?
I did. I saw that. And when I was watching with Zach, I'm like, okay, look, there he is.
Yeah. He got one shot in there. That's good.
It's so cool though.
It is cool. Yeah, I remember him he was texting me when he was, doing it on the set. And it was, obviously very cold in Canada and outside just cutting wood for every angle. But that's exciting. It's exciting to get a big movie like that, or big TV series that comes through there, and to get put in something like that. That's pretty cool.
That'd be fun.
Okay. Let's see. Anything else on that? I think, obviously we know Grief Karga comes back.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that. We've seen Bo-Katan. Apparently Moff Gideon has, come back. However, he's going to probably escape prison somehow or something.
Of course.
Yeah. I don't know. Any other guesses on any other cameos you think?
I guess we're gonna have to wait.
I really want. I keep saying this. I feel like we need to. I really want to see the new Chancellor Mon Mothma in this somehow.
That would be pretty cool.
Get Genevieve back here, age her up a little bit, and show a shot of her. I think that would be incredible.
We might get that season 4. I think that's going to be a season 4. I don't think that's going to be a season 3.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there.
Oh, she might be in Ahsoka though.
That's more likely. That could be more likely. Yep. Now, at some point, I don't know what point. At some point, she does step down, but I think it's a little bit later.
Yeah, I think at that point, Ben has. By the time she steps down, that's when Ben is already with Luke, right?
I believe so. Yeah, so I believe it's like another 4 or 5 years from now.
Yeah, it's a bit.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I believe she steps out because she's ill. She gets sick, right? Yeah,
and then Leia's up, and everything's revealed.
Yes, correct. Oh, is that in Bloodline that she steps down?
I thought it was. Am I not remembering that correctly?
No, you might be right. I
know Leia's up for Chancellor.
Yeah, they want her to be Chancellor.
And I feel like that's when Mon stepped back.
Yeah, you might be right. So then she's there for at least 20 something years then.
Yeah, she's there for a while.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you got Mon Mothma's slowly becoming one of my favorite characters. So
absolutely.
I want to see her more.
And or helped with that tremendously.
Agreed. Yeah. And it'd be good to see the political. I mean, I know it would be getting away from this, but maybe some other show to get more into political side of how they established the new. Because see, that's the cool thing. What I do love about the Bad Batch is we're seeing how it transitions from the Empire, from the Republic to the Empire. But I would love to see how it got back to the New Republic.
That would be interesting,
right? I think it would be. I mean, we got the end of the full end of the war in the Aftermath books, where the Empire was fully finished and Masamito signed the peace treaty and whatnot. But then that's when the work started about how do you establish the New Republic.
You could also do a whole thing where the parallel story with it is how is the First Order just slipping under their radar.
Yeah. Which I think it's still going to come. I think it's still going to come to Mandalorian.
I think it will too. Yeah. That might be the hook for season 4.
Yes.
Is at the end of season 3. We learn about the creation of the First Order.
Yep.
That would be interesting. Ooh.
That would be interesting. Okay. I think we're excited. Of course, we'll be back here next week to talk about it.
Yes.
Episode 1 of season 3 of Mandalorian, and of course, season 2, episode 11 of the Bad Batch. First time, I believe, that we are going to have overlapping series on Disney Plus. Star Wars has not done that yet, so
yeah, that'll be interesting for sure.
There we go. Yep. Okay. Let's see. We got some comments from Thrawn Addict, of course, on our last episode here. He says another slightly disappointing episode of Bad Batch. Unfortunately, I don't hate these types of episodes, but I do find myself not paying as much attention to them as I should. Looks like next week will be the same. I know Clone Wars and Bad Batch Season 1 had some of these types of episodes, but don't remember them being so many of them and being so consistent. One thing I think they did well was the team dealing with the fallout of Echo leaving. I'm glad they didn't brush past that. Very true.
Yes.
It goes on to say, we'll be happy to see any sequel trilogy characters come back as long as it's a good story and there's a plan and reason to bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with Hannah more, though. Would like to see something completely new, different timeline and characters, and don't mind if it's set before The Phantom Menace or after The Rise of Skywalker. I feel like what has been done with The High Republic is so good and has built a whole new galaxy of characters, so it can be done by Disney and need to take the risk and not rely on the Skywalker saga. Or do both, just give me Star Wars films already. They could easily do multiple projects and set in different times. 100% agree.
Throw an addict for Star Wars president.
Yeah. I think Kathleen
that.
Kennedy's contract's up soon. So.
Well, there you go. Done.
No, I agree. I think at this point, I don't think it matters where you go in the timeline. I think it's all about the characters and the stories, and
do something new.
Yeah, and the High Republic's obviously proving that to be true.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so yeah, thanks everybody for joining us and being here. And lots of Star Wars coming this year, it seems like, so as well as some big movie announcements hopefully here in the coming weeks. Fingers crossed, that's right. Thank you, Hannah, as always.
Thank you, as always.
Yes, we'll be getting some Beyond the Sagas done here soon.
Mm-hmm.
I got a new Dark Knowledge that's going to be dropping next week. Me and Master Koo, Corey Cooley, talked about actually the art, some interview that resurfaced a couple weeks ago regarding the fact that I think I may have told you this, the fact that Darth Maul was at one time supposed to be the Grievous character in episode 3.
What?
Did you not hear about that?
I did not. What?
Yeah. The initial conceptualization of Grievous was actually the return of Darth Maul in like mechanical form.
Wow.
So yeah. So that was an interesting conversation about how we felt about that and if that would have worked or not. So look for that next week on YouTube at Inside the Force on there. So check that out. And then, of course, if you're looking to support the show on Patreon, please go there, patreon.com/Inside the Force. Check out those tiers and get additional content there. So, Hannah, I'll see you tomorrow, but we'll see you on the show next week.
See you next week / tomorrow.
Yes. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go watch some Star Wars. We'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.